Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Emily Moss. I'm currently a student at Wellesley College, and I served as an intern in Counselor Wu's office this past summer. And one of the projects I worked on was looking into bring your own beverage practices, sort of as a comparative study looking at other cities who have employed this BYOB, and so how that could then be best structured for Boston. So just to give you an overview, so Massachusetts state law prohibits BYOB in restaurants with liquor licenses, though individual municipalities then have the ability to set their own regulations, determining whether BYOB is allowed in restaurants without liquor licenses. So BYOB is currently banned in Boston, but I see this as really a missed opportunity to be using BYOB as an economic development tool that, when supplemented with effective regulatory measures, can stimulate underserved neighborhoods and their small restaurants. So in my work, after interviewing restaurants, industry professionals, and government representatives in various municipalities in Massachusetts and throughout the country, including Philadelphia, Austin, Texas, and Chicago, these are places where BYOB is active. And across the board, I found that BYOB is most beneficial to small-size restaurants that are looking to grow. Allowing BYOB would lower barriers to entry for these restaurants seeking to join in on Boston's dining out scene, boosting their business and then the city's economy overall. In addition, I think many families view BYOB as an alternative, affordable option because they have greater control over the amount that they're spending on their overall meal and dining experience if they're able to bring their own beer or wine. And cities with BYOB state that consumers dine out more often if there are these types of more affordable and flexible options. I do think it is worth acknowledging the common critique and concern over BYOB, that its implementation would generate unfair competition with restaurants that have already invested in a full liquor license. BYOB and liquor licensed restaurants in cities such as Philadelphia, for example, they passed BYOB without any regulations, and as a result, it was difficult for BYOB and liquor licensed restaurants to coexist. Therefore, it's essential to target BYOB specifically to these smaller, eclectic restaurants. And in this way, BYOB would not necessarily be a source of competition, but rather BYOB would be an additional option and a powerful tool to support Boston's dining out experience beyond downtown and make every neighborhood a destination. But I will say that many of the restaurants I spoke to did say that BYOB clearly increased, as you said, increased the amount of foot traffic and also just increased the amount of food that people were ordering. It really engaged them in the dining experience, and as a result, they were ordering full meals, and the fact that they do have this sort of affordability aspect and flexibility with how much they're bringing in for their beverage, they really consumers were able to dictate for themselves the meal that they were getting out of their dining out experience. And I will say, too, that I think BYOB is, obviously, it doesn't itself generate revenue, on its own, but I think, as Councillor Baker said in his opening statement, that it's really sort of what gets people in the door. And then as a result, the increased number of customers and all of that, that's what ultimately raises their revenue. So, yes, they can charge a corkage fee, and that is a small source of revenue, but overall it really is just allowing these small restaurants that wouldn't otherwise be attracting customers perhaps at, dinner or later hours or what have you. That really is what it sort of contributes to an overall benefit for them. And I think, too, it's also a great stepping stone for a restaurant that is looking, so not only is small but looking to grow. It's a great way for them to ultimately gain the amount of operating capital that would be required to obtain a full liquor license and, to manage a full the glassware and the liquor inventory. So it's sort of that stepping stone that is a great opportunity for the smaller restaurants. from what I heard from restaurant owners and industry professionals who sort of gave their insight on the issue, they didn't think that would be an issue for I would say two reasons. One, as I said, that BYOB in fact many times encouraged customers to, they're not just coming in for a quick appetizer. It really encouraged them to partake in a full meal. And also, I will say that I think, these small restaurants are different. They're different from full liquor license holders. They're different from those larger downtown, well-established restaurants. They're typically small, eclectic cuisines that really, they're just smaller. And I think it's hard to make a blunt comparison in the, amount that one is spending at a particular restaurant. Comparing what a BYOB restaurant would be versus that of a larger liquor. In Chicago, they have a moratorium process where the council can. So basically, BYOB is allowed in Chicago, but the city can then go back and restrict it in certain areas. So I will say too that Massachusetts is a little bit different than some of the other municipalities that I've looked at in that. Other municipalities, BYOB is kind of just like allowed, and then it's up to the city to further regulate it. Whereas here, BYOB is not allowed, and we're trying to reverse the ban and then implement regulations after. So I think so. In Chicago, they have this process where to limit. Where BYOB can be implemented, and that's been extremely effective because in Philadelphia, for example, there was a lot of animosity between liquor license and BYOB.